Hello, everyone. I'm Joyce Davis, and I am passionate about voting. If you had been born where I was born and when I was born, you'd be passionate too. Take a walk with me back to a day when people who looked like me weren't allowed to enter the voting booth. Come with me to the place of my birth, to the deep South, to New Orleans, Louisiana. To the good old days some would like to bring back, when there were whites only water fountains, coloreds only restrooms, and seating at the back of the bus. I remember witnessing the humiliation my grandmother felt coming home so many times, having failed to pass the infamous literacy test, a test designed to keep women like my grandmother out of the voting booth. You should know Granny was a remarkable woman. She owned two houses, played the piano and the organ, managed the duties of being a pastor's wife, as well as superintendent of the First Shiloh Baptist Church Sunday School. After my grandfather died suddenly, leaving her with two small girls, she managed to raise them alone and even put my mother through college, all on the salary of an uptown maid. But this accomplished, independent, capable woman was not deemed worthy enough to walk through the front doors of a polling place to vote. I remember her humiliation time after time when she was told she didn't pass the literacy test and couldn't register to vote. No matter how hard she studied or how much she prepared, there was always a question she didn't expect. At one point, she came home in tears, unable to answer the pop question of how many camels could fit on the head of a pin. As a young girl, the image of my grandmother in tears because she couldn't pass the literacy test became seared in my memory. It became the motivation for my heading to the polls. Rain, sleet, snow, or blazing hot sun, I was going to vote. My excitement each time I walked into my polling place, sign my name, then close the curtains and pull the levers, is not really about me. Every time I cast my vote, I cast it for Granny. I cast it for all of our mothers and grandmothers and who for decades were denied the right to speak their minds and vote their consciences. Most of all, I cast it for my son and for all of our children in the hope that they will never live in a nation that denies them a voice, that conspires to take away their freedom, that treats them as second class citizens. The 1965 Voting Rights Act gave my grandmother the right to walk into the voting booth, head held high, and make her voice heard. 50 years later, because she voted, her granddaughter was able to walk into a voting booth, head held high, and cast her vote for her black son who stepped out to serve his community. I believe it should be a crime not to vote. Too many women suffered, too many women cried, and too many people died to make sure we have this right. Women and men, let's not take voting for granted. Let's make sure we vote every election. And we must make sure we instill this in our children, this responsibility of citizenship. What's more, let's not only vote, but let's use our vote to support capable, competent women on the ballot. I don't want to see our nation return to the days of my childhood, but let's not be fooled. If we don't vote, and if we don't hold public office, the good old days of the past could well become our tomorrow. Please